The lies they tell us about the housing market. The lies they tell us about the housing market. And it actually infuriates me because people should know better, but they don't because they have to push a political narrative. And look, dude, I don't know what the narrative is. It's obviously an anti-Trump narrative, and Trump is doing enough against himself. You don't need to push stupidity to push against Trump. Trump has done, we don't need any help in pushing Trump to make mistakes because he's doing it on his own. All right, so the freaking housing market is not going to crash anytime soon. It's just not. Maybe I'll do another video on that. But, dude, I'm so sick of hearing the median home buyer, first-time home buyer, is 40 when it used to be 33. I just saw some other chick write about this, and she used to be a Wall Street maven. And I'm like, you're just full of crap. You're full of crap, and it freaking infuriates me, man. And look, I never trust the media. The sports media is the worst, trust me, because it's all kind of heavy-set white boys, who just idolize, black athletes, and as such, they just want so badly to be on the cool kids team. I get that, so I don't trust them. So they'll do whatever they take. They'll write whatever they have to try to be like they're cool, like the athlete black kids that they could never compete with. I get that. The media, the mainstream media, is obviously just a bunch of journalists, usually a lot of rich kid journalists. Like, what's that chick's name? Taylor Renz and stuff. I mean, they're all just rich kids, dude. They never use a shovel. The old days of journalism isn't what it is now. Even then, I mean, Walter Cronkite was a big lefty too. But at least, like Dan Rather and Walter Cronkite, they had real exposure to real America. You see what I'm saying? They just had to be left wingers. But at least they came from real American backgrounds. At least, I presume. I don't know the exact history. I think Dan Rather actually, I'm not sure. But anyway, at the end of the day, the journalists today are just rich kids, man. That's all there is to it. Rich kids who went to, elite schools, and it just, they don't know anything. So, I mean, look, anything they write, I just like, whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't really care. The financial media, on the other hand, it's not supposed to be just, I mean, look, they're idiotic, don't get me wrong, but they're supposed to have a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Idiotic. When I say not idiotic, like not smart, because they are, but they're supposed to be a little bit more discerning. Discerning? Yeah, discerning. In terms of saying, oh, by the way, let my Glock shooting sports, how dare I? They're supposed to be a little bit more discerning in terms of seeing the big picture through the sheer nonsense that's out there. And I don't expect them to be, because I know they just, push fear. That's what they do. I mean, you don't get clicks unless you push fear. But I expect more of the financial media. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't get more. And I don't know. I just expect more, man. I expect more legitimacy, and instead we get this freaking sheerness that's insane. I don't expect the financial media to be as far left. I just think they should be more well thought out. And they're just not. It's embarrassing. Anyway, so the median the first-time home buyer is not 40. It's still 30. It's actually lower than it was. I think it was 10 to 15 years ago, according to the New York Fed. So you can argue with the New York Fed. That's if you want to. Or you can use the National Association of Realtors, who is a lobbying group, and they're pushing this narrative. And you can say, well, where's the National Association of Realtors getting their data from? Oh, they're getting it from a survey. They sent out, thousands of surveys, and they only got 3.5% response rate. It's just not scientific. It's just not. And so that's where they're getting the median age of a first-time home buyer is 40. I don't know it's not scientific, dude. And as such, having all these freaking fools push this narrative around, so it ticks me off. All right, so part 2 of this, by the way, another thing that's so annoying is that private equity is buying up all the homes. It's just not true. It's just not true, man. The vast majority of investors who are buying up homes are small investors with less than 5 properties. The vast majority. In fact, the big wigs, the Blackstones, and people confuse Blackstone with BlackRock. I don't know how many private small houses BlackRock themselves own, but Blackstone certainly. But anyway, the hedge fund types and stuff like that, they're just not buying up the real estate. They're just not. The medium-sized investors just aren't either. The vast majority, and I did a video on this the other day too, but it still infuriates me. The vast majority of home buyers from the investor side are small investors, man. And I got many of these guys as clients. They're like, this is a great cash flow. It's just, so you hear these things, oh my goodness, private equity is putting it out of reach for, you know, regular workers, and we got to ban private equity, but they're not buying it. It's just a stupid, man. And then you hear, oh, the median home buyer, first time home buyer is 40 years old. You know, we need government regulation. And of course, all the right wingers are throwing, I can't take it, man. I can't take it, 'cause it's just lies. It's lies based on, and for my people, the financial media, it's not lies based on ignorance, because they can't be. Maybe they are. Maybe they are, because they are this ignorance about the cost of tariffs. You know, but I just expect more, and it's disappointing when I just. Anyway. So what do we do about homes? Well, I'll share with you here in another video, because the home market is certainly not going to be crushed anytime soon. I guarantee you that. Well, I can't guarantee anything because I'm not God, but I highly suspect there's not going to be a down in the home market anytime soon. Even if you have a 50-year mortgage, even if interest rates go down, even if interest rates go up, they're just not going to be. And I'll share with you why. And it's not because people are holding on to freaking 3.25% mortgages. It's not. It'll be something else, which I'll share with you next video. God bless.